Hello everyone. Today we're taking a closer look at Seville, one of Spain's most captivating cities and the vibrant heart of Andalusia. Our first stop is the Híspalis Fountain, located in the heart of Seville. This elegant fountain stands in a lively urban setting and pays tribute to the ancient Roman name of the city, Híspalis. Surrounded by palm trees and historic buildings, it offers a pleasant introduction to Seville and its fascinating blend of ancient history and modern city life. As we enter Puerta de Jerez, we find ourselves in one of Seville's most lively areas. The name comes from the old city gate that once stood here, which marked the road leading from Seville to the city of Jerez de la Frontera. Although the original gate is gone today, its name has remained and is still used for this beautiful part of the city. One of Seville's most iconic landmarks immediately catches our attention, the magnificent Hotel Alfonso XIII. Opened in 1929, this luxurious hotel was built in a grand Andalusian style, combining Spanish, Moorish, and Renaissance influences. Its elegant facade, beautiful courtyards, and richly decorated interiors reflect the city's architectural heritage. Today, it remains one of Seville's most prestigious and historic hotels. Continuing along the street, we can see some of Seville's traditional historic houses on the left, with their characteristic balconies, decorative facades, and charming details. On the right stands the University of Seville, one of Spain's oldest universities. The university is housed in the impressive former Royal Tobacco Factory, a vast 18th century building that once played an important role in Seville's tobacco industry. Today, this historic site is an important part of the city's academic and cultural life. Just a short walk from here, we come to the beautiful Catalina de Ribera Gardens, located right alongside the historic walls of the Real Alcázar of Seville. Created in the early 20th century, these peaceful gardens are named after Catalina de Ribera, an important figure in Seville's history. With shaded paths, fountains, colorful flowers, and orange trees, they offer a relaxing escape from the busy streets. The gardens also feature a beautiful monument dedicated to Christopher Columbus, adding another interesting detail to this charming corner of Seville. As we continue our journey, we pass through the beautiful Prado de San Sebastian gardens. We really enjoyed walking through this peaceful green space with its palm trees, fountains, and shaded paths. It was a nice break from the busy streets of Seville, so we decided to stop at one of the cafes here for a little rest and a drink. Sitting outside and watching people go by gave us a chance to slow down and simply enjoy the atmosphere of the city. As we continue our journey through Seville, we now arrive at one of the city's most spectacular and recognizable landmarks, Plaza de España. The moment we entered the square, we were really impressed by its size and architecture. It is one of those places that looks beautiful in photographs, but somehow feels even more impressive when you are actually standing here. Default text Plaza de España was built for the Ibero-American Exposition of 1929, an international exhibition that brought together Spain and countries from Latin America. Construction began in 1914 and took around 15 years to complete. The project was designed by the Sevillian architect Anabel González. The architecture here is a beautiful combination of traditional Andalusian style, Spanish Renaissance influences, and colorful ceramic decoration, rather than being dominated by a single architectural style. The building brings together many elements that are closely connected with Seville and Spanish culture. As we walk further into the square, you can really appreciate its enormous semicircular shape. The curved building seems to embrace the large open plaza in front of it, creating a very impressive sense of scale. One of the first details that caught our attention was the canal running along the front of the building. The canal follows the curve of the plaza and is crossed by 4 beautiful bridges. Each bridge is decorated with colorful ceramic tiles known as azulejos, and they fit perfectly with the overall character of Seville. We took our time walking across them because there are so many small details to look at. You can also rent a small rowing boat and take a short ride along the canal. We didn't rush through this area because there was simply too much to see. Watching people rowing their boats while walking along the water made the whole place feel very lively and relaxed at the same time. Along the lower part of the structure, you'll find a series of beautiful tiled alcoves. There are 48 of them, representing the provinces of Spain. Each section has its own colorful ceramic decoration, showing historical scenes, maps, and other symbols connected with the province. We found this particularly interesting because it gives the square a completely different character from many other landmarks. Instead of simply looking at one large monument, you can walk around and discover something different in almost every section. The tiled benches in front of these alcoves are also beautifully decorated. If you're interested in Spanish history, this is a great place to spend some time, because you can see different parts of the country represented through the artwork. Another thing we really enjoyed was simply walking around without following a strict route. From one side of the square, you get a completely different view of the building. The combination of the towers, balconies, arches, bridges, water, and colorful tiles creates some fantastic photo opportunities. And if you visit early in the morning, the atmosphere can be especially pleasant. The light is softer, there are fewer people around, and you can really appreciate the details of the architecture. But even when the square is busy, there is something enjoyable about it. There are musicians, dancers, people riding boats, and locals passing through the park. It feels less like a traditional monument and more like a place where people actually come to spend time. For us, this was definitely one of the highlights of our time in Seville. What we liked most was that you don't have to rush here. You can simply walk around, admire the architecture, sit on one of the tiled benches, watch the boats on the canal, or just enjoy the atmosphere. If you're planning a trip to Seville, I would definitely recommend giving yourself enough time for Plaza de España. Our next stop is the beautiful María Luisa Park. As soon as we enter the park, we notice something that immediately catches our attention: a bride and groom having their wedding photos taken. It was such a lovely surprise to see them here, surrounded by all this greenery and beautiful scenery. We didn't want to interrupt them, of course, but it was one of those little moments that made our visit feel even more special. In the late 19th century, much of this land was donated to the city by Princess María Luisa Fernanda de Bourbon. The gardens were later redesigned as a public park, and their transformation was completed for the Ibero-American Exposition of 1929. We especially enjoyed walking around the areas with the ponds. As we got closer to the water, we started noticing birds everywhere. Some were swimming calmly across the ponds, while others were walking around the edges or resting in the shade. Leaving María Luisa Park behind, we continue our journey along the Canal de Alfonso XIII towards the Torre del Oro. This is one of our favorite ways to experience Seville because there is always something happening along the waterfront. As we walk, we see people jogging, cycling, and exercising along the canal. It feels very lively, but at the same time, the wide promenade gives us plenty of space to enjoy a relaxed walk. Along the way, we come across several interesting statues and monuments, adding more character to the waterfront. There are also cafes and outdoor terraces where people sit, have a coffee, or simply enjoy the view. As we continue, we pass by some of Seville's beautiful bridges. They create great views over the water and are perfect spots to stop for a photograph. We really enjoyed taking our time here and watching the city from a different perspective. The further we walk, the more the Torre del Oro begins to come into view. With the water on one side and the lively city on the other, this walk gives us a completely different feeling from the historic streets we explored earlier. It's a simple and relaxing route, but we really enjoyed it, especially because you can slow down. Watch people going about their day and experience a more relaxed side of Seville. And here we are at the Torre del Oro, one of Seville's most recognizable landmarks. Built in the early 13th century, this historic watchtower once played an important role in protecting the city and controlling traffic along the Guadalquivir River. Today, its beautiful riverside setting and long history have made it one of the most photographed and iconic symbols of Seville. Just a short walk from the Torre del Oro, we arrive at Seville's famous bull ring, the Plaza de Toros de la Real Maestranza. Built mainly in the 18th century, it is one of Spain's oldest and most historic bull rings. Known for its distinctive oval-shaped arena and beautiful Baroque-style facade. Even if you're not interested in bullfighting, the building is an important part of Seville's history and culture, and its impressive architecture is definitely worth seeing from the outside. Leaving the bull ring behind, we continue our journey through the narrow streets of Seville towards the Metropol Parasol. This part of the city is really enjoyable to explore on foot. Along the way, we pass traditional Andalusian houses with their white or warm-colored facades, small balconies, decorative windows, and beautiful flower-filled patios. Many of the buildings have charming details that make even an ordinary street feel special. As we continue walking, we also come across plenty of small souvenir shops. The shop windows are filled with colorful little figurines, miniature versions of Seville's landmarks, traditional fans, beautiful shawls, and Andalusian-style clothing. We stopped at a few of these shops to have a look, and it was fun to see how many traditional items are still part of the city's culture. The fans and colorful shawls especially caught our attention. They make lovely souvenirs and are a great reminder of Andalusia. Walking through these narrow streets, surrounded by traditional houses and little local shops, gives us a completely different experience of Seville. And as we continue, the streets gradually lead us towards our next stop, the impressive Metropol Parasol. And finally, we arrive at the Metropol Parasol, one of the most unusual and modern landmarks in Seville. Locally known as Las Setas, meaning the mushrooms. This enormous wooden structure stands in the heart of Plaza de la Encarnacion. When we first saw it, we were really surprised by the contrast between this modern design and the historic streets surrounding it. Completed in 2011, the structure quickly became one of the most recognizable contemporary landmarks in Seville. Plaza de la Encarnacion itself is a lively meeting point, with cafes, restaurants, shops, and plenty of people coming and going throughout the day. We took some time to walk around the square and admire Las Setas from different angles. After exploring the area, we decided to take a break at one of the cafes around the square. We enjoyed a delicious meal here, which was a perfect way to finish our visit to this part of Seville. It was a really enjoyable experience, a combination of Seville's historic atmosphere, modern architecture, and of course some delicious local food. We now continue along Avenida de la Constitución, one of the main and most impressive avenues in the heart of Seville. As we walk, we pass beautiful historic buildings, cafes, shops, and lively streets, with the magnificent Seville Cathedral rising ahead of us. This is a great place to experience the energy of the city while enjoying some of its most impressive architecture along the way. And now we arrive at one of the most extraordinary places in Seville, the real Alcázar of Seville. This magnificent palace complex has a history stretching back more than 1,000 years. Its origins go back to the Islamic period, when the first palace structures were built here in the 10th century. After Seville was conquered by Christian forces in 1248, the complex was expanded and transformed by different rulers over the centuries. This is one of the oldest royal palaces in Europe that is still in use today. One of the oldest parts of Palaca is Sala de la Justicia, or Hall of Justice. Built in the 14th century, this is one of the oldest sections of the palace. It is believed to have received its name from the official meetings that were held here. If you look carefully at the ceiling, you can admire the wooden decorations, considered among the finest examples of Islamic art. Another highlight is the Salón de Embajadas, or Ambassadors Hall. This magnificent room was used for important receptions and ceremonies, and its richly decorated dome and walls really give you a sense of the importance of the palace. The most impressive part of the palace is the Mudéjar Palace. Built in the 14th century for King Pedro I, this is where we can really see the beautiful combination of Islamic and Christian influences. The intricate arches, colorful ceramic tiles, and detailed decorations make the interiors incredibly impressive. We especially enjoyed exploring the courtyard of the Maidens. The long reflecting pool, delicate arches, and beautifully decorated walls create one of the most memorable views inside the palace. Today, in addition to its historical importance, it also attracts the attention of the film and television industry. Several scenes from the world-famous television series Game of Thrones were filmed here. But for us, the gardens were just as impressive as the palace itself. As we step outside, the atmosphere changes completely. The gardens are a wonderful combination of greenery, fountains, ponds, orange trees, palm trees, and beautiful pathways. There are quiet corners where you can simply stop for a moment and enjoy the surroundings. One of the most interesting areas is the Galleria de Grutascos, where old walls were transformed into decorative garden features. Walking through these gardens feels almost like stepping into another world. We took our time here because there is so much to see. Every corner offers a different view, from beautiful fountains and tiled details to shaded paths and peaceful gardens. For us, seeing the beautiful interiors and then wandering through the gardens made the real Alcázar one of the highlights of our visit to Seville. If you're planning a trip here, I would definitely recommend allowing several hours to explore the palace and gardens without rushing. There is simply too much detail to appreciate in a quick visit. And now, we arrive at Plaza del Cabildo, one of Seville's most charming and lesser-known corners. This beautiful semicircular square was built in the 20th century on the site of the former Colegio de San Miguel, which once belonged to the cathedral chapter. Its elegant white buildings, curved balconies, and colorful decorative details give the plaza a distinctive character. The ground floor arcade is especially interesting, with its beautiful columns and small traditional shops. Located just a few steps from Seville Cathedral, Plaza del Cabildo offers a quieter atmosphere compared with the busy streets around it. We really enjoyed discovering this peaceful little corner and taking a moment to appreciate its architecture and history. It's easy to miss, but definitely worth adding to your Seville itinerary. And now we arrive at one of the most impressive landmarks in Seville, the magnificent Seville Cathedral. Before focusing on the cathedral, let's take a moment to look around the square in front of us. This is Plaza Virgen de los Reyes, one of the most beautiful squares in Seville's historic center. The first thing that catches our attention is the impressive Giralda Tower standing beside the cathedral. Across the square we can also see the Archbishop's Palace with its striking red Baroque facade. On the edge of the square stands the small white church of the Convent of the Incarnation, creating a beautiful contrast with the much larger cathedral. The square is also a lively place, with horse-drawn carriages, cafés, and visitors coming and going throughout the day. Standing here, surrounded by these historic buildings, gives us a wonderful feeling of being in the heart of Old Seville. Seville Cathedral was built on the site of the city's former Great Mosque. Construction of the cathedral began in the early 15th century, after Seville came under Christian rule, and the main building was completed in the early 16th century. Today, it is one of the largest Gothic cathedrals in the world, and one of the most important landmarks in Seville. What makes it particularly fascinating is the way the city's Islamic and Christian history can still be seen in the architecture. The most obvious example is the Giralda. It originally served as the minaret of the mosque before being transformed into a Christian bell tower. Today, it has become one of the most recognizable symbols of Seville. Walking around the cathedral, we can also see several magnificent entrances. Among them are the Puerta del Bautismo, the Puerta del Nacimiento, and the Puerta de la Asunción. Each has its own distinctive decoration and reflects a different part of the cathedral's long architectural history. Although we didn't visit the interior on this occasion, there is still plenty to appreciate from the outside. The enormous Gothic structure, the richly decorated facades, the historic entrances, and the Giralda rising above the cathedral create an incredibly impressive view. For us, this was one of those places where simply walking around and taking in the atmosphere was an experience in itself. Standing in this historic square, surrounded by centuries of architecture, really gives you a feeling for the history and character of Seville. If you're visiting the city, this is definitely an area where it's worth slowing down, looking at the details and taking some time to appreciate the remarkable combination of history, architecture, and everyday life around you. And that brings us to the end of our journey through Seville. During our visit, we discovered a city where centuries of history, beautiful architecture, lively streets, peaceful gardens, and Andalusian culture come together in a very special way. From the magnificent Plaza de España and the peaceful María Luisa Park to the Guadalquivir waterfront, the Torre del Oro, the charming streets, and the incredible real Alcázar and Seville Cathedral, every part of the city offered something different. What we enjoyed most was simply taking our time, exploring the streets, stopping for a coffee or a delicious meal, and experiencing Seville at our own pace. If you're planning a trip to Andalusia, Seville is definitely a city we would recommend adding to your itinerary. We hope you enjoyed discovering Seville with us, and that this video gave you some inspiration for your own visit. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more travel guides. See you in the next adventure.